taking on Clayton Kershaw and the Dodgers and Chavez Ravine. And these two guys have very interesting numbers when you look at their careers, both over 3,000 strikeouts, a few more for Scherzer. Their one-loss record not that far apart from one another. And here's sort of the tale of the tape when you look at it. 3 Cy Young Awards for each of them. Now, Scherzer is 4 years older, but 218 wins, 217 wins. And so I ask you, Eduardo, overall, when you look at these two guys, who's had the better career?
I would say most likely Mad Max has had the better career, and that's not to take anything away from Clayton Kershaw, who has pitched his entire career with the Dodgers. I think it comes down to, you could look at probably the postseason numbers with Max and say this is how he's been able to dominate during that time. Let's not forget, one guy signed out of high school, got to the big leagues a lot earlier than the other. That's why those numbers are pretty similar with the age difference, as Mad Max ended up going to college for those 3 years before starting his career in Arizona. But to me, right now, it's close, but I think it's defined more by the postseason that Mad Max has just a slightly better career, even though I do not at all discount what Clayton Kershaw has done, even battling through those injuries of his.
Yeah, I mean, you think about both these guys, and, you know, the postseason for Kershaw probably hurts in the comparison, I would think. Just when you think, you know, he's had his struggles in the postseason, and yet they both have multiple World Series championships. It's a really close matchup overall. So Schilling, Clemens, Maddox, Clemens, Randy Johnson, Pedro, Scherzer, Kershaw. I mean, that's kind of what we're talking about here. And will we ever see a matchup like this again with, you know, somebody with two guys matching up with 3 Cy Young Awards moving forward? And, you know, it just feels like the era of the ace starting pitcher is changing. I mean, Skeens, I could see being that guy, but he only went 6 innings yesterday. I mean, are we winding down this era of starters, and will we ever have this again?
One more time. I think it'll be one more time, and maybe with Kershaw, Verlander. I think that could happen this year, right? Dodgers, Giants could face each other, and we could see these two guys pitching against each other, but I don't see it because I don't think pitchers are going to last as long. I think with the money that they make, I think the retirement could come sooner than later. I think some pitchers will be valuing that family time and say, okay, I've made enough, I've had enough. Others play for the love and the passion of the sport. You look at Justin Verlander, he's playing for the love, and he's playing to try to get some more W's to get to a number as well. But as far as Scherzer plays it for the competitive nature. This guy, once he's done playing, he's going to do something else that's going to impact maybe in the game of baseball or outside of the game of baseball because of his relentless. You look at Clayton Kershaw with all of the, you know, his kids and going back most likely to the Dallas area. He's going to pay attention more to what his kids have to do and say. And we've seen the family men in both of them. But right now, I just do not see past this year, past, let's say, the next couple years, if it's not those 3 names, it happening again.
Yeah, it is a special night for sure. One definitely worth watching. Now, we almost had a Skubal-Skeens matchup earlier. There was a doubleheader, and I think Skubal pitched the second game. Skeens pitched the first game of the doubleheader, where they could have matched up against each other and chose not to. But I think that those are guys down the road. Again, you've got a lot of innings to log and strikeouts to log to get to those kinds of numbers to then match up with the other guy. And to your point, injuries and paychecks make it easier to walk away from the game at some point than it used to be. But this got a chance to be just a great battle. So it's a 3-game series, Blue Jays and Dodgers. Who takes the series?
Right now, I probably would say the Blue Jays, and the reason being is because they are healthy. They put the ball in play, and they force the defense to make plays. There's not a lot of strikeouts there. Again, 38 pitchers have been used already for the Dodgers combined. Last year, it was 40 pitchers that team used. And just in case for all of those SEC people that said, if it's Scherzer, that I mentioned went to college, you want me to mention your university? I'll mention your university because I know a lot of people in our network would be happy if we do. Missouri, okay, if that's just in case Mizzou. That's who Max Scherzer went to. For all those Mizzou aficionados out there that do have a say in MLB Network Radio, I'm giving you a little love there. But look, it's the Dodgers against the Blue Jays. Blue Jays, we just saw what they did against Colorado. I'm not putting the Colorado Rockies and the Dodgers in the same area, but the one thing that the Toronto Blue Jays have done is put that ball in play. And they've hit the ball solid. They're coming off a serious high in Colorado. So we'll see how the Dodger pitching can neutralize this offense.
Yeah, it's going to be Kershaw, Snell, Yamamoto over the weekend. Not exactly what you want to run into. And then for the Blue Jays after that, to play the Cubs, they should get Imanaga in one of those games. And then they should line up for Evaldi and DeGrom in the following weekend. So they've got a run of 9 games here right now. 3 against the Dodgers, 3 against the Cubs, 3 against Texas, where you've got 3 hungry teams, right? Nobody's coasting right now. Yeah. Dodgers are fighting out the Padres. Cubs are challenging, trying to catch the Brewers, and the Rangers trying to get themselves in a playoff spot. So it's going to be a tough week to see where the Blue Jays go in the matchups. And they will probably get Ohtani. When did he throw that night? They won't probably get Ohtani because he did throw just a few days ago. And so they may not get to see him at all in this series with Snell and Kershaw on the mound with Yamamoto. So they miss Ohtani with it. All right, coming up, the morning matchup. Our picks to click. Who is going to come up big offensively today? We'll predict it next here in the leadoff spot on MLB Network Radio and live on MLB Network TV.
This is MLB Now. We are the show for the thinking fan. Hello again, everybody. I'm Brian Kenny. Great to be with you. Busy show today. Craig Breslow will join us, Chief Baseball Officer, Boston Red Sox. The extension with Roman Anthony, the divorce from Rafael Devers, Boston in the first wild card spot currently. Adam Ottavino will join us as well, which is working so well for Paul Skeens. Bob Costas and Steve Phillips are on the panel. Bob and I with our Veterans Committee wish list for the Hall of Fame. And first time ever this weekend, a female umpire in the major leagues. Breakthrough, 130 years, finally. But first, Hall of Fame matchup tonight as well. You don't get many of these. 37-year-old Clayton Kershaw versus 41-year-old Max Scherzer. Enjoy it while you can. How do they stack up? And who's had the better career? Let's do a little digging in as they face off. First off, this is one to enjoy. These two are slowing down. Over the last 2 years, Kershaw has thrown 95 innings. That's it. Scherzer has thrown 84. That's it. We are winding down. It happens. But they've loaded up on the honors. Each has won 3 Cy Young Awards. Kershaw also has an MVP and 5 ERA titles. Scherzer doesn't have any. Scherzer, though, has twice led his league in pitching WAR. Kershaw has done it 3 times. Scherzer has thrown 2,900 innings. Kershaw, 2,800. But Kershaw has a 2.52 career ERA. His park-adjusted ERA, 155, number 1 all-time. Scherzer has a career ERA of 3.18. That's a 132 ERA plus, which is very, very good. Scherzer's innings and park-adjusted ERA, I'll throw this in, Bob Costas, comparable to Whitey Ford. That's rare air. That's a high-level Hall of Famer, an all-time great. But it is tough to have a better peak than Clayton Kershaw. Overall career might be a different story. We'll talk about it. But peak, and we're talking about 10 years here. Kershaw is up there with Koufax and Pedro. Here's Clayton Kershaw in his best 10 years. A 2.29 ERA. That's a 165 ERA plus. That's sky high. Nearly 200 innings a season. Max Scherzer, his ERA 2.78. The ERA plus 150. Again, that's excellent. Averaging 201 innings. That inning average, by the way, does not include the short season of 2020. But Those are great numbers for Kershaw. In the postseason, though, advantage Scherzer. Max has had two great separate runs in the playoffs, 2012, 2013 for the Tigers, back-to-back years, a 2.5 ERA for nearly 70 innings across the two seasons, and then he and Steven Strasburg led the Nationals to the 2019 title. Scherzer pitched 5 games to a 2.40 ERA. Kershaw, of course, is one of the most star-crossed postseason pitchers in baseball history. Bunch of good starts, but also some disasters. 6 postseason starts, by the way, on short rest. We don't do that anymore. But it's a 4.49 ERA over 194 postseason innings. To bottom line it, even WAR is split on these two. Here are the WAR leaders since 2000. Now, WAR is an approximation, right? We don't have to split hairs here. But if you're looking at baseball reference WAR, it's Verlander. We're going to throw in Justin Verlander here, too. He's on top since 2000. Then Clayton Kershaw. Then Max Scherzer. Reasonably close there. Zach Greinke in 4th, by the way. I'm going to throw him in there. That's a Hall of Famer as well. If you use RA9 WAR, that's overall runs allowed, also with innings mixed in, but with fewer bells and whistles like team defense. Maybe B-WAR gets a little cute sometimes. But now, look at this. You kind of view it differently when you see this. It's Kershaw at number 1. Verlander is number 2. It's very close, right? But then Scherzer is back a little bit. But this is how close it is. That WAR is even split. I'd have to say advantage Clayton Kershaw if I'm matching them up. Let us know what you think. Who's had the best career? Scherzer or Kershaw? Let us know. We're on X at MLB Now. I hate to bottom line it that way. By the way, Bob Costas is here. Bob, it's great to see you again.
BK.
So
Hello, Steve.
I will laugh at your stuff this time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I will. The king of the dad jokes is here, and I will get you. Give me something overall before we just bottom line who had the better career, that sort of thing. Just getting these two to match up, Bob.
Everything I was prepared to say, you just said.
Excellent. I feel great about that. Yes.
So, Kershaw has the edge. He has the better overall career. He should be a unanimous first ballot Hall of Famer. Probably will miss by a few votes because that's the way it goes.
There's always that guy.
Scherzer's a first ballot guy. They're both not marginal. They're both incredibly great. But if you have to pick one, especially because of that peak, and especially because he's tops all time in winning percentage and starter ERA in the live ball era, that gives Kershaw the edge.
I wanted to point out that ERA Plus is also adjusted to the run-scoring environment of that league in that season. That way we can look at Walter Johnson. We can look at Lefty Grove. Now, these guys have more innings, right? And Pedro and Kershaw are close, though. And Kershaw might slide down because he's not done, and if he's given up more runs, which he is now, Pedro could end up being number 1. But again, Steve, we're not talking, hey, you're going from 8th to 9th. We're going from 1st, maybe to 2nd. We're talking number 1 all time.
Yeah, I think, and then you throw Verlander in as you did in the comparisons there, and then, they all lead in some category. Like whatever people do to sort of differentiate players, you look at different categories. So you look at innings pitched here, Verlander has the edge. You look at ERA, Kershaw has the edge. Then you look at strikeouts per 9, Scherzer has the edge. You look at whip, you look at batting average against. They're all leading in some category over the other.
That's a big innings mix, though. That's 500 innings more for Verlander.
Big difference.
When you put him in, that is a huge difference.
And, you're getting older, too, and so you log some of those numbers where it might impact some of the rates at which you pitch with it. We may see that for Kershaw down the road, depending upon how much longer he wants to pitch. But you're splitting hairs. The reality is, this is a group of Hall of Famers that should be first ballot Hall of Famers and among the elite pitchers to ever pitch in the game. When you think about this offensive era in which they pitched,
a lot of those
put
years.
up those numbers, it tells you something.
All time. Just as you have to judge, put in proper perspective and context the strikeouts, right? Are they the greatest strikeout pitchers of all time? There's many more strikeouts. We know this. But also, run prevention, home runs are at a greater rate. I'll throw this in, too, that I've always kind of just not given enough to Clayton Kershaw and the short rest in the postseason. Because when he was doing it, we were just coming off CC Sabathia. We were just talking about him at the Hall of Fame. CC, of course, did it for, the Brewers in 2008, Yankees in 2009. So by 2012, 13, 14, 15, it didn't seem outrageous that Clayton Kershaw was always going on short rest. Or 6 or 7 times going on short rest. The last 3 years, Bob, 2 guys have done it in the postseason, too. So the fact that we don't do it anymore because it's totally unfair really makes me rethink Kershaw in the postseason.
In his prime, he would have been a 1-4-7 guy. The 4 and 7 on 3 days rest in the Sandy Koufax, Bob Gibson, Whitey Ford type model.
But everybody was doing it, right? Then you were going short rest, or wasn't even
Everyone was
short
doing
rest.
it then. Everybody wasn't doing it in
Right.
the 20 teens
Right.
like they did it with Kershaw. And in fairness, look, his postseason both winning percentage, 500, 13-13. His ERA is 2 runs higher in the postseason than in the regular season.
That's a big gap.
You know, it's not so much a negative as you feel for him. When he walked off the mound in that first inning against the Diamondbacks in 2023, got only 1 out, 6 runs against him.
Yeah.
Dave Roberts
Brutal.
had to come and get him. You know, you feel for him. It's not like you're criticizing him because he's been so great and he's carried himself so beautifully. You hope, you know, he wasn't really part of it last year, but he was as exultant as any of his teammates, which speaks well of him. You hope he has a postseason moment that is a grace note for him so that he can end on a grace note.
He's had a bunch, again, he's had very good starts. Do you know what I'm saying about, he's had 6 on short rest. We do not try that anymore. Even the ace of aces, we just don't do that to guys anymore.
No, we don't. But I think that when you're comparing greats of all time, that is the one area where he has struggled, and it diminishes in the comparison. When you start to think about it, it is something you hold against him. Like some people put a lot more in the postseason than others and how you evaluate talent overall. Because I look at it and think, okay, if you've struggled in the postseason, give me the guy who keeps getting there. Sooner or later, he'll figure it out. But I'm with you. I do want him to have that moment in the postseason where we celebrate him as a great postseason pitcher as well.
You know, if I'm his advocate here, in 2017, the Astros are stealing signs. There was like 1, maybe 2 swings and misses in one of those starts at Minute Maid, and he was at his peak then, right? He had a great start at Dodger Stadium earlier in that series, and he came out of the bullpen. Darvish had kind of let it go early, but he held it. He held the fort, came out of the bullpen with a good stint in Game 7 on short rest.
Right. They'll face off tonight. By the way, both are coming off good starts, so you hope for like a good, like, not a complete game. That doesn't happen anymore. You know, you get 6-7 of good stuff tonight against a 37 and a 40-year-old. We'll take a short break. When we come back, Paul Skeens on MLB Now. Adam, it's Brian Kenny. I always like throw the coffee away, like, here, guys, take this, but it's baseball and coffee. I can have this, right? Welcome back.
Yeah, no, that fits the aesthetic. That's beautiful.
Exactly. There you go. Perfect. So Scherzer versus Kershaw. I guess your years with the Rockies, you saw Kershaw quite a bit. Give me. We just did tail of the tape on the two of them. Give me something on both guys.
Well, they're both drafted the same year as me, 2006. 2 guys that were inspiring to me my whole career to watch. I was a teammate with Max. He's an absolute maniac, and I love that about him. And Clayton's the type of guy that every time we would go to Dodger Stadium, you'd always see him out there working hard, doing something, and it seemed like we just could never beat him. So,
what do you mean by maniac? All right, I hear that. Like, what's maniacal about him?
It's just a guy who just loves to compete. He has almost like an alter ego when he's out there on the mound. And as soon as he's off the field, off the mound, he's a different guy. He's a lot more easy to talk to. He's always kicking it around, big jokester. But when he's in compete mode, he goes to a different place. And it's not a place that I don't think too many people want to be, honestly.
I guess with both guys up front, you just kind of mentioned it, like their off-day preps are important, right? Being because you get days off, your mind can wander, your body can wander. Tell me about something about these guys and their prep through the years.
Yeah, Clayton in particular, like, is the type of guy you just never saw him not working. Every time you go to Dodger Stadium, he'd be out there running, doing some shadow pitching, always kind of visualizing his next game. He just seemed like he was a step ahead of everybody else, both physically and from a preparation standpoint. And I think that's what allowed him to just be so incredibly consistent during his career, which is, honestly, that's the thing that's the separator, is just how consistent he really has been.
Yeah, those two face off again tonight. Meantime, Paul Skeens off a great start.